In today's video, we're going to talk about more than 20 players that you should be stashing in Dynasty football. Now, the further along we get in this video, the less rostered players will be. So if you're in a deeper format, don't worry, there will be more options for you as we go. Now, this first running back is much more of a hold in any sort of format that's like 10 or 12 man. But let's talk about Jalen Wright. In smaller formats, he might be out there on the waiver wire. I imagine in most of your leagues he's rostered, but he is a strong hold right now. Stash him, do not move him, do not trade him, do not make him a throw-in in any sort of trade. Mike McDaniel, head coach for the Dolphins, has already stated that Jalen Wright will be more involved in 2025. He actually said, part of our vision moving forward is we have high expectations of the tandem of Devon Achane and Jalen Wright and think that they give us an opportunity to be really effective handing the ball off and doing stuff in the passing game, which makes logical sense because Wright is the clear next guy outside of Devon Achane on this depth chart. Alexander Madison is the RB3, Ollie Gordon the round 6 pick, and the running backs with the second and fourth most carries on this team are no longer in Miami. For example, Raheem Mostert, currently a Las Vegas Raider. Wilson Jr., just thrown into the sun at this point. The man is a free agent, probably not going to play football again. Achane averaged about 12 rushing attempts per game in 2024. Do not be surprised if Jalen Wright ends up getting up there around the 10 rushing attempts per game number in 2025. Even if he's rostered, he's a must hold. All right. In some smaller formats, Cedric Tillman might be on the waiver wire, but let me tell you guys, he is an absolute mustache on your Dynasty rosters. He was potentially going to break out last year before his injury. We're going to look at weeks 1 to 6 versus weeks 7 to 11 as a sample size. Small sample size. Remember, Tillman got injured from week 12 onwards with that concussion and never returned. And yes, keep in mind that the sample size where Tillman is doing well, Jameis Winston was starting. All right, so keep that in mind. But you can see from week 7 onwards, there's a huge change. About 10 targets per game compared to less than 1 before that. Receptions per game up to 6. Receiving yards per game up to 75. And fantasy points per game in that span, 18.5. Now, who in the world knows if he would have kept up that pace or if it was just a good stretch of games, but he should have plenty of opportunities in 2025 because this team virtually added no one. I know they added Deontay Johnson, but Jerry Jeudy's the number 1 wide receiver there. Outside of that, Cedric Tillman has every opportunity to break out and get more opportunities in 2025. He is a must roster. All right, a lot of people might, after the rookie draft, have dropped this following name here. And I'm suggesting he needs to be rostered. That is Marshawn Lloyd. Lloyd was about as unlucky a player could get in their rookie season. I mean, multiple hamstring injuries, an injured ankle that left him on IR. The injuries just never stopped piling up, honestly. But low-key, one of the biggest winners of this offseason at the running back position is Marshawn Lloyd. Remember, this team moved on from A.J. Dillon, even though he's injured last year. He is now a Philadelphia Eagle. And then in a stacked running back class during the draft with 8 draft selections, the Packers didn't take a single running back, which they could have because remember, the Rams took Blake Corum last year, and this year they still took Jarquez Hunter because they loved this class. Lloyd is primed to be the RB2 behind Jacobs. There is no questions about that. You know, Emmanuel Wilson, Chris Brooks, Marshawn Lloyd will be their RB2. And don't forget that Lloyd was a round 3 selection last year, which has a 50% hit rate over the last 11 years. His story is not finished, and he should not be on your waiver wire. All right, how about Brenton Strange? In smaller leagues, again, might be available. For your deeper leagues, we'll get there in a second, all right? Bear with me. But Brenton has shown incredible flashes. There are 4 weeks in particular last year where he scored over 10 PPR points, including week 15 where he had a game with 12 plus targets. And you can see he's been a fringe starter without Evan Ingram on the field in the past 2 seasons, averaging about 9 points per game. He's a better prospect than most people realize, right? Over 9 RAS score, which we know athleticism for a tight end is very important. According to RAS, 78% of Pro Bowl starters in the last 25 years tested with an 8+ score. Great draft capital, round 2 pick, which is decent for tight ends, 42% hit rate. And now there will be a bigger piece of the pie available in the Jags offense this season. Yes, they brought in Travis Hunter. Yes, Brian Thomas is Himothy, but Evan Ingram is gone. Christian Kirk went to Houston. Those guys averaged 7.1 targets per game and 6 targets per game, respectively. And we did see big games for a, Kate Otten and Liam Cohen's offense last year, so he should be rostered. All right, if you want an in-depth breakdown of your team with customized trade targets, players to buy, sell, hold, then get your team playbook today by either becoming a yearly Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND or by going directly to the Flock store, regardless of what promo code you're on. And if you want it done live, make sure you get the live tier. Those links are in the pinned comment. Now we're going to start getting into some names that should be more widely available. Starting off with any of the Chicago Bears running backs that aren't DeAndre Swift. So Kyle Monangai, Rashawn Johnson. This one is very, very simple, guys. DeAndre Swift was awful in recent years. I mean, last year, for example, there were 46 running backs in the league with 100 rushing attempts. Here's where he ranked. He ranked 39th in PFF grade amongst, again, 46 running backs with that number. 39th in yards per attempt, 44th in yards after contact per attempt, 24th in missed tackles force, and 42nd in elusive rating. Now, that does not mean that Rashawn Johnson or Kyle Monangai are going to be better than DeAndre Swift, but they are the clear running backs who will be waiting behind DeAndre Swift if this staff decides to move on from him. I mean, again, you look at the depth chart. Travis Homer has not shown us at any point in his career, his long career, that he's going to be the guy. So Rashawn Johnson, Kyle Monangai should be rostered. And we all know that there's a history of success with running backs that Ben Johnson has had or deployed. Don't forget, Ben Johnson has had 2 running backs finish top 24 in each of the last 3 seasons. In 2022 is DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams. In 2023, Gibbs and Monty, and then the same again in 2024. So there is room for multiple running backs to be relevant. All right. The best quarterback stash that exists right now, in my opinion, is Joe Milton. Now, we talked about him previously in one of these videos earlier in the offseason. That was when he was a Patriot, and we said maybe someone will trade for him. That's what the Cowboys did. They went out of their way and traded for Joe Milton. Yes, it was a 5th-round pick, but Schottenheimer has already had a ton of positive things to say about him. You can pause and read this tweet if you want from John Machota if you want to see more about that. But keep in mind, guys, Dak Prescott has a vast injury history. In 2020, he fractured his ankle. It was season ending. In 2022, he broke his thumb. There was 5 games there where he missed. And last year, there was the hamstring tear that pretty much was a season ending injury for him. And in Joe's only NFL start with a really piss poor New England roster, he got 21.2 fantasy points in that one game, was really efficient, showed a rushing threat on the goal line as well. He should be rostered in Superflex formats. All right, at the wide receiver position, how about Roman Wilson? Very simple take here. There's no George Pickens. Okay, he was traded to Dallas. He's no longer in Pittsburgh. There should be new opportunities now in that wide receiver room, right? So obviously we know DK Metcalf's going to be the number 1, but now Aaron Rodgers is in town. There should be room for a name like Roman Wilson to break out if he can stay healthy in 2025. And the Steelers are counting on him to take a year 2 jump. That was reported according to Jay Fowler of ESPN. They think he's going to take a year 2 jump now that his injury history hopefully is going to be behind him. All right, another running back here. How about JCM, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt? Now, his collegiate stats might not blow you away, right? Played at New Mexico, played at Arizona, but he only played 1 game at Arizona. It was a great game, over 100 yards, 8.2 yards per attempt. But there's a reason for lack of production last year. Lance Zierlein of NFL.com noted that eligibility issues sidelined him for all but 1 game in 2024. So it wasn't an injury, it was just eligibility issues. But this is all about the depth chart in Washington and the lack of a true game-changing weapon out of the backfield. Brian Robinson is fine. Austin Eckler is there. Chris Rodriguez. I mean, let's talk about Brian Robinson. He will be the starter, but he drastically fell off from weeks 1 to 5 versus weeks 6 to 18. Weeks 6 to 18 onwards, you can see pretty much every number from a usage rate, fantasy points per game, efficiency, breaking tackles. He was much worse in that second half of the season. I mean, from week 6 onwards, there were 33 running backs in the NFL with 100 rushing attempts. He was one of them. Out of those 33 running backs, he ranked 30th in yards per attempt, 30th in yards after contact, 31st in missed tackles force, and 32nd in elusive rating. He was about as mediocre and replaceable as it comes. Eckler was a shell of his former self. I think JCM shows a ton of promise and should be rostered. They're excited about him in Washington. All right, how about another wide receiver? Malik Washington out of Miami, who, yes, we have talked about before this offseason, but I still think he should be a priority roster stash. If Tyreek keeps playing this, what do we call it? A trade request roulette almost is what's happening in Miami. Or if Jalen Waddle can't stay healthy, then there are plenty of pathways towards relevancy for a Malik Washington. Don't forget, as a prospect at the University of Virginia in 2023, out of 286 wide receivers with 50 targets that year in college, he ranked 2nd in PFF grade and 5th in reception percentage. And by the way, he set Virginia's record all time for receptions and receiving yards in a single season, and he set an ACC, the conference, single season record in receptions with 110. He has shined in his limited opportunities on the field for Miami, played 87% of the snaps where Jalen Waddle was injured from week 16 to 17. From week 15 onwards, averaged 5 targets and about 43 receiving yards per game. There's definitely something there that should be monitored. Now, the last player, and again, as I said in this video, will go from the most rostered to the least rostered. So Arian Smith is going to be the most available player that I specifically bring up. We'll hear from you guys as well. But genuinely, this take is all about the drumbeat out of New York from rookie camp, from OTAs. Head coach Aaron Glenn just keeps saying so many positive things about him. He keeps highlighting him. Check this out.
Aaron has some juice, don't he? God, he can run and he's bouncy. And he's a really good athlete. And I thought the first day he went out there and he was really focused on making sure that I see through the ball and make sure I could bring it in. I think he did a good job yesterday catching the ball.
But if you look at this roster, outside of Garrett Wilson, there's a very clear pathway for someone to step up and break out, right? I know Justin Fields is the quarterback. No disrespect to Allen Lazard. He's an older player now. Josh Reynolds, same thing. I know Malachi Corley is there. But there's a clear opportunity for someone else to get opportunities. Now, in deeper leagues, now if you guys are in like a 12-team, start 11, big rosters, the following names are for you. They should be available in the vast majority of leagues. Dylan Gabriel, round 3 pick. Shedeur Sanders, round 5. Both will have equal opportunities to be starters in Cleveland. Jacob Cohen, obviously, Brandon Ayuk dealing with that injury. He might be on the PUP list to start. Deebo Samuel was traded away, so he could have an opportunity. Miles Sanders in a backfield in Dallas with a bunch of question marks. We don't actually know what Javonte is going to look like, what Jaden Blue is going to look like. He's a rosterable player. Isaiah Davis, low-key, I know everybody is all about Braylon Allen, but Isaiah Davis was the better player when Breece Hall was injured, by far. How about Noah Gray and Jared Wiley, both 2 tight ends in Kansas City that could replace Travis Kelce if he retires after the 2025 season. Now, I didn't want you to just hear from me. I wanted you to hear from the community as well, because you guys have incredible ideas. So I tweeted out, I asked you guys, who is the best stash in Dynasty Football right now? And here are your submissions. So from the Candyman, shout out to him, Fantasy Football Garage. He says, Jordan Watkins, wide receiver for the 49ers, 4th round pick, productive with Dart at Ole Miss, fast, lots of uncertainty around the wide receivers in San Francisco. So I definitely agree. He was drafted much higher than I thought he was going to be in the 4th round, Jordan Watkins. I didn't actually do much research on him before the draft, full transparency. So anytime the 49ers draft a wide receiver, we should be stashing them, in my humble opinion. How about Joe Babes? What's up, Joe Babes? He says, Deontay Thornton, wide open wide receiver room with Besh and Myers set to be starters, unless, of course, Besh stumbles out of the gate as a rookie. Pete Carroll has iterated that Thornton has a lot of untapped potential with his 4.3 speed at a 6.3 frame. Hopium is addictive, so be careful. Thornton is another one of those names. He's one of the best deep league kind of stashes to see what he could possibly be. Could he be a Trey Tucker replacement in the future? Or could he have more potential than that, right? How about Trey Cobb, who talks about Malik Washington? We're on the 100% on the same page here, Trey, as you guys heard earlier. Same thing here with Pumped Pistons, says Arian Smith, fast and could play a role on the Jets, who don't have a lot of promising receivers. We're on the same page there, my friend. I agree with you. Another one here from Gage about Roman Wilson, who we talked about earlier. You guys and me are in some synergy right now over on X. We've got one more here, or a couple more here. One more from Huncho Horns, who says, I think Jalen McMillan, not saying he is a superstar, but could be a nice piece / flex if everything falls right. He had the production last year and was a go-to target for scores. Value is low right now, but once Godwin and Evans are gone, it's just him and Igbuka. I love McMillan. You guys know this. It broke my heart because I love Igbuka as well. It broke my heart that they're going to be kind of cock-blocking each other, and really, it's more Igbuka cock-blocking Jalen McMillan, but I think he's a talented player. He's shown that, well worth a roster right now. And then Christopher Corey here with the Joe Milton take. And, we're on the same page there. He says Dak hasn't completed 3 out of his 5 past seasons. So I definitely think Joe Milton's a sneaky one as well. But I appreciate you guys watching the video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear your best stash as well, but be a friend, hit that like button to show some love, subscribe if you like the content, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Nothing but love. Adios. If you're thinking about supporting us in this economy, that's big love, and you deserve love in return. So for every yearly Mother Flocker member who uses the promo code LAND, we're giving out a free team playbook, our 2025 rookie report, access to all premium tools, free site vouchers, and of course, a huge thank you from the LAND crew. You're far too kind. That's love.